back up and restore virtual machines. I bet you're looking at this, the title of this nugget and thinking, this is easy. You're probably thinking that because, well, the entire process of backing up and restoring computers has, for a very long time, been one of those, I don't know, not terribly difficult. If I don't have to restore the whole computer, well, it's not that bad. If I need to restore an individual file, well, all I need to do is go to my tape backup device and grab the file, and it's good to go. Well, in virtualization, and with virtual machines, the whole backup and restore process gets much, much more complicated. Part of that is a problem that I like to call perspective. In virtual environments, as I'll explain in just a minute, there are more places in which a backup can be sourced from. There are more perspectives from which that backup can actually occur. And so because of that perspective problem, the whole notion of backup and restore virtual machines gets much more complicated than would it in the physical world. Now, we have to talk about perspective because, well, we're eventually going to get to this whole notion of VMware data recovery, which is a tool that is packaged with vSphere that is a part of the vSphere family that allows you to do data recovery on virtual machines. And we'll go through the process of installing and configuring it and doing a backup job and doing a restore. But before we actually get there, I want to spend just a minute kind of talking about, well, all right, so what is this notion of perspective? I got a picture here. This is a variation of a picture that I use all the time when I talk about backups in virtual environments. And it's this nice stacked diagram here that relates to, all right, I got storage and server hardware, and I got the hypervisor here, and I got some device drivers that are in my hypervisor and a management OS. And I got the virtual machine that's sitting on top. And so this gives you a nice idea of the stack of different technologies that are required in order to create a virtual environment. Now, we have at this point been focusing fairly heavily on getting these VMs up and running up here at the top by getting all the configurations here with the hypervisor put together. But you'll notice there are a lot of layers to this picture. And I've got my server hardware, the physical piece of hardware on which the hypervisor is installed. That server hardware plugs into a set of storage underneath it, and then the hypervisor sits on top of it with, you know, some management functionality here. I call it an OS, but it's management functionality there, and then some device drivers. And I have to have all these pieces in place before I can actually get to running those virtual machines. You've already experienced this through the series of nuggets that it's taken to get us this far. You know, if you were thinking earlier on that it just takes a lot of steps before I can actually even create a new virtual machine, you're right, because, well, I've got to get the infrastructure in place. Now, these infrastructure pieces also highlight the fact that there are multiple locations from which a backup can be sourced from. Here in the virtual machine, I could put an agent in that virtual machine and just install a little agent down here. And that agent would operate in much the same way that the agents operate in a physical environment today. I drop a backup agent in my physical computer, and it backs up the 70 million files that make up the Windows operating system, and it goes onto tape or disk. Now, this is nice because if I need to restore one of those files, Stan in accounting loses his spreadsheet again. Gosh, Stan, again this week? Well, I'm going to have to go back to the tape and find the spreadsheet. At least it's, you know, one file at a time, so I can restore it very easily back to the VM where he lost it from. But the problem is, with all those files separated in the way that they are,